Welcome back to the Unboxing Behavior Podcast, where we explore practical tools for mental and behavioral health challenges. Today, we are going to be talking about a behavioral trait that we all have in common with famous and influential people. You will be surprised. Well, today we're going to begin this episode with a true story. It's about a painter, a scientist, an engineer, and an inventor whose notebooks and works continue to inspire people today. Despite being a genius, he was also known for unfinished projects. From childhood, this man showed a restless curiosity and a talent for many disciplines, but also a tendency to start many things and abandon them. His first biographer, Giorgio Vasari, wrote that he set himself to learn many things, and then, after having begun them, he will abandon them. This pattern persisted into adulthood, and it continued. This behavior was not just about him being lazy. It was tied to some other things. He had this excessive need to plan, and he had difficulty in executing his ideas. He would spend years sketching, studying, and trying to perfect his concepts. But oftentimes he will fail to complete these projects. Now, one of such projects that we have known him for is the Mona Lisa. Now, do you remember or know who I'm talking about? Some scholars even suggest that that piece of art that is the greatest work, as it were, was even unfinished before his death. The famous painter we are talking about is none other than Leonardo da Vinci. He suffered from procrastination. Procrastination is what we are going to be unboxing today. So today we are sharing this behavior with not just ordinary people, but also with famous people. Other famous people that have suffered from this behavioral trait is Victor Hugo. They said he had literally locked himself inside his house to stop him from procrastinating. Another one is Douglas Adams. And that one said, I love deadlines. I love the whooshing sound that they make as they go by. That means he has to wait until the last minute. And then we have Margaret Atwood, and she has openly talked about putting off her writing despite her success. So it's a big deal. And then we also have Bill Clinton, who was known for delaying decisions and struggled with decision fatigue. So all of these famous people and even more suffered from what you also suffer from, procrastination. And I do suffer from that too. Now we want to ask that big question, what procrastination is, and what it isn't. A lot of people think procrastination is a sign of laziness. Do you? I don't know. Let's see. We are going to unbox. So it's something even the most brilliant, creative, and successful people have struggled with. It's a real struggle for people. And so it's not just you, okay? So let's see why we procrastinate and how we can overcome or stop it. So what is procrastination? It simply means when you delay task, despite knowing that there will be some negative consequences to that delay, or when you put things off for some other time, instead of doing what you should do, you choose to do something easier. So sometimes people don't just stop doing things, rather they choose to do something else. So procrastination is a behavioral and emotional regulation issue. It's about avoiding discomfort. It isn't about laziness at all. So please, let's be guarded. We don't want to think of you putting things off as mere laziness. So it isn't about laziness. We will try to uncover that. Now, our brain is wired to choose short-term relief over long-term goals. So that is why sometimes when we think mentally about something, we feel overwhelmed, and our brains kind of tell us, go do something easier, go do something simple. So that is the way we are wired, okay? So that's why sometimes we put certain tasks off, especially when we think of it as mentally challenging. It's huge. It's this big, humongous thing. I don't want to do it. So I want to leave it for tomorrow or another day. And what that does is it creates a loop. We're going to call that the procrastination loop. So you see a task, a very big task, and mentally you are processing, you are assessing that task. And the next thing is you feel this stress. You feel anxious. You feel fear. You feel overwhelmed. I can't do this. It's just too much because you're looking at the entire picture of this task in its entirety. So all of that into your brain is like, no, I can't do this. And so you stress out. Now, the next thing you want to do is when you stress, you want to avoid. Yeah, I don't want to do this. So that is why you are going to be avoiding. And when you avoid, something then happens. When you avoid that task, you feel some temporary relief. You feel some relief. I'm not dealing with this now. So I feel better. I feel good. But does that last? So you feel that relief, but then if it is something you have to do, you think about it again. And then you go over and over with that same loop. And oftentimes, people just abandon that project or whatever they were supposed to do. So we're going to be looking at why we procrastinate in two different perspectives today. The first one is psychological perspective. Why do we procrastinate? And the other one will be the behavioral. So for the psychological perspective, procrastination is often driven by a few things: fear of failure or fear of making mistakes. The questions always come: what if I mess up? What if I don't get this right? What if I don't have the abilities? What if I don't have all it takes to do this? That fear of failure just comes in, and that is a big problem. That's one of the psychological aspects. Perfectionism, it's another one. Some people feel they can never do anything until everything is perfect. It has to be just right before I start. I need to have this, I need to have that, I need to have everything down before I even begin. That's perfectionism. Another psychological perspective we want to take on is low self-confidence. This is also tied with self-esteem. I would want you to go back and watch the video we made about unboxing self-esteem, and you will hear and see most of those things that we've talked about concerning low self-confidence. So sometimes we doubt ourselves. I'm not good enough to do this. I don't have all it takes to do this. I am not competent enough. And so that could be a reason psychologically that you want to procrastinate. The psychological perspective is avoiding stress, anxiety, or discomfort. When you take a look at that task and you see that I'm going to spend a lot of time, I'm going to put down a lot of mental work into this, or it could even be I'm going to put in a lot of physical labor into this thing. The brain is like, this is going to be too much. And the truth is, at this point, the brain is trying to do what it best knows to do for you, which is trying to protect you from discomfort. The brain is trying to protect itself and you, okay? So that is one of the things that happen. Now, the behavioral perspective of procrastinating will come from a standpoint where procrastination is reinforced. Now, when you avoid a task, your stress temporarily decreases. Your brain learns that when you avoid, you will have some relief, and this creates that habit loop of task, stress, avoid, relief, repeat. So, and over time, procrastination becomes an automatic behavior. Yeah, it becomes a learned behavior. And that will be one of the things you want to keep doing when things come up for you to do. You're like, you know what, I'm just going to procrastinate. And that is not what we want. I know that it is not out of sheer laziness. It is not out of you not wanting to do, or you don't know the consequences of the things you need to do, but it is because of some of these things that we just addressed. Now, how can we overcome procrastination? I want us to remember that this podcast is hinged on tools from two therapies, cognitive behavioral therapy and dialectical behavioral therapy. Now, cognitive behavioral therapy rests or focuses on using our thoughts, our feelings, and our behaviors. So those things we think about, how it drives the way you feel or your emotions, and then how you behave. That's CBT. While DBT kind of rests on some mindfulness, effective communication skills. Those are some of the things that DBT tools hinge on. And we're going to touch on these two separate therapies, okay? For CBT, some tools that we can use. The first one is challenging unhelpful thoughts. You want to cancel that fear of failure or that you are going to be making mistakes when you take on that task. Everybody makes mistakes. We have talked about this before. People make mistakes. People fail at something. But have you tried it? Because if you do not try something, what is the possibility that you will just fail it? What if you get it right and you succeed? So you want to challenge those thoughts of, I'm not capable of doing this, I can't do this, I'm afraid I'm going to fail. We have to challenge those thoughts. Under CBT, we also want to use the 5-minute rule. Now, that 5-minute rule is this. When you have this big task or something, whatever it may be that you want to take on and you feel the need to avoid and push and delay, you want to try doing that thing for just 5 minutes. Try it. 5 minutes. Give yourself max 5 minutes. Use the 5-minute rule. Just start. Then break your task into tiny, small pieces or steps. For example, if you want to prepare, let's say, slides for a presentation and you're like, oh, how can I do this? This is huge. This is big. Mentally, oh, wow, I don't know if I can do this. Give yourself 5 minutes. Start your computer. You can research the topic. You can just put the topic, let's say, in Google and see what comes out for you. Or ChatGPT. You can just put in the topic and see what comes out for you. 5 minutes. If you're done with just looking at the topic, shut down and leave. 5 minutes. But the truth is, a lot of people that have tried this say that so-called 5 minutes that they think they want to just spend, it spans into 10, 15, 20, sometimes 30 minutes of work. So it's about starting, doing that initial work, and then the brain will just adjust and follow. You have to make that move, okay? Now, we also need to do some behavioral activation. This will go with the 5-minute thing, which is where you want to do something easy to take you there. Don't start with anything too huge or hard or big. You want to start with the easy steps. And sometimes I know that people can flip it. Some people will say, you know what, I would like to do the big one so that I have some confidence and then whatever is left I can finish. You should know yourself. If that works for you, please do that. If that is what works for you, do that. But just start something. Activate that behavior to take on something. Now, some DBT strategies we are going to be looking at is emotional regulation, how to manage your emotions. Sometimes when you think about this whole thing, you're like anxious about it. You feel this wave of anxiety. We need to find ways to dissipate those anxious moments. Some things you can do is opposite action. It could be, instead of you running away, you want to stay put. That's the opposite of run away. Staying put, okay? Instead of going to find something easy, find something easier in the task you are trying to avoid to do, instead of going to do something else. That's why we say it's not about laziness, because you are doing something, but it's the choice of what you are doing. So bring it back to that task. Find something simple and easy about that task that you want to do. And it could simply be you just mentally thinking about the task. Sometimes we thrive that way. Some people feel, you know what, let me just mentally break down these things. Okay, I'll do this, I'll do that, I'll do that. Okay, put it in writing somewhere. These are the steps I'm going to tackle. The next DBT thing we're going to talk about is mindfulness. It's always there. Notice when you have that urge to avoid. And once you are able to notice, I'm having this urge to avoid, you are beginning to be aware. There's a measure of self-awareness there that, okay, I want to avoid, but I shouldn't avoid. So what should I do? That is where you go back to some of the CBT skills of maybe using something like the 5 minutes, starting small, or you could just mentally process it. Let me see how this thing goes. It might not be that too bad, okay? Now, another thing is distress tolerance. We have to find a way to begin to tolerate or buffer our distresses. Because not everything is about comfort, my friends. Not everything. There's no way you are going to live this life and everything is going to be comfortable for you. That's not possible. So sometimes when we have this discomfort, sit in there with this discomfort and see how you can tackle it. And then we have self-compassion. Now, compassion in itself reduces the anxiety and whole avoidance loop that we go through. It helps to buffer that feeling of anxiousness, that feeling of being overwhelmed, that feeling of fear, that feeling of not being able to do something, that feeling of low confidence. When you have compassion for yourself, it kind of reduces that. So you want to have some compassion for yourself. And when you have that, you should be able to ask some questions to yourself. What am I really avoiding? And what feeling is underneath this avoidance? Okay? So you want to do that because procrastination is rarely about the task. It's not just about the task. It's about the emotion that you are attaching to doing that task. So it is not necessarily about that thing that you want to do. It's about that emotion, fear, anxiety, low confidence, frustration, all of those things. So you want to take your time to scan those emotions and ask yourself, why am I anxious about doing this? Can I just try? Can I give it a trial? Okay? Procrastination isn't a character flaw. It isn't. It's a learned behavioral pattern. And the good news is patterns can change. You want to start small. Start imperfectly. Just begin. Okay? So that is with procrastination. I want to thank you all for lending me your time to listen to this or watch this podcast. But before we go, as usual, I want us to take a moment to have some guided reflection. If it's okay with you, I want you to take that one deep breath and exhale and know that procrastination is a behavioral pattern that we have learned over years of existence. It is not a character flaw. You are not lazy. However, you want to begin to learn healthy behaviors that will help you overcome these patterns. So, setting goals, starting small, and continuing to do your work. Do not wait. So I'll see you all in the next episode. Thank you for being with me today. Bye.